Hello, everybody. Welcome on in. This live or replay, if you're catching it on the replay, is for the Taurus Full Moon uh, and eclipse. And I am going live this is October 29th, 2023. It's actually technically the day after the full moon, an eclipse that occurred, and that's all good because we are still in that energy, and working with the lunar cycle provides a space of time. It's not just like a one and done, or it has to be, or everything that you're doing does not have to be accomplished on a specific or at a specific moment. So I'm going to chat just a little bit. You may end up catching this on the replay, and I will just give a little bit of background. This was actually scheduled for Friday, 2 days ago, Friday the 27th. And I was unable to jump on live because there was some other, unplanned things that happened family-wise. And so that is the result. And I also shared on my stories a little bit of insight about that, in that I am very aware and very grateful for the ability to be flexible, and definitely grateful for manifesting this time and location freedom and flexibility that I have. And so I'm going to be talking a little bit about that today for this Taurus full moon chat, about celebrating and acknowledging the successes, and especially, and even when the success is not where we think it should be, or not at the level that maybe we would like it to be, and how that does not discount or take away that there is still a level of success there. And making sure I can see comments here from everybody. So I'm gonna dive in and chat a bit about this. And if you do catch this on the replay, let me know you're catching this. Just type in #replay or hello, say hi. Let me know where it is that you're watching from or listening, if you're also kind of just listening on the go. And I will get going. These live calls having to do with the new moon and the full moon are here, or I do these to help you develop, maybe nurture and strengthen a relationship in working with the moon and the lunar cycle. And subsequently, that means you are strengthening and developing and nurturing a relationship with yourself, because the moon has to do with our internal, like, emotions and states of being. And so by doing this work, we develop a relationship with ourselves. We get to know our desires, our emotions, and do the work of becoming the person who is living the life or experiences that we desire, by feeling into what that looks like and what that feels like, as opposed to having a very specific visual or a specific result outcome type of thing. So it's a different way of setting goals, working with intentions, that when I learned it and started applying it, really did resonate with me. So let's get into, we had yesterday the Taurus full moon and also a lunar eclipse. And this eclipse was the second in a row. The one previous was 2 weeks ago with the new moon. So it's an eclipse cycle. When we have a solar eclipse at the new moon, we have a lunar eclipse at the full moon. And basically what eclipses do is to amplify or supercharge whatever energies are already there with whatever new moon or full moon they happen to be happening with. So, also things tend to maybe feel a little bit chaotic, a little overwhelming kind of things, like as things are kind of going haywire at eclipses, because with the eclipse, right, it's this covering of light, this like, where the solar eclipse is where the moon covers the light, and then with the lunar eclipse, then the moon does not reflect the light, and it looks a little bit different hue in the sky. It doesn't reflect that sunlight like a typical full moon. And so with that covering or dimming of the light, our shadow elements are heightened, and the shadow work that maybe you've either been doing on purpose, or maybe some shadow work that is being brought to your attention, actually might feel heightened. So things are like feeling chaotic and overwhelming because the shadows are being pointed out, and because we're also reacting. It's amplified energy, right? So we're reacting from our shadow places, our habits, our old patterns. They tend to just come up more naturally, and again, more amplified. So also, because it's not just all, one-sided, there is always a duality. So even though the energies and maybe a little bit of this chaos and what word did I write down here? Overwhelming, feeling chaos, that might be a little bit amplified. But what also is supercharged with this Taurus full moon eclipse is the theme of releasing and forgiving, which are themes for every full moon. But then I will tie in the things specifically associated with Taurus in just a bit. So it's a supercharged time of releasing and forgiving, which ultimately is what creates space for the things that we do want. And it creates space for possibilities and for clarity of what maybe we do want life to look and feel like as we experience it. Let's see. Maybe there'll be some dramatic endings and some unexpected changes, all with this kind of tumultuousness of the eclipse energy. So if you guys have specific questions or anything that comes up, whether you jump in live or whether you watch the replay, go ahead and let me know in the comments. And if you happen to jot them down on the replay, I will come back around and answer them or respond and give you, some answers, feedback, whatever it is. And also thank you for taking the time to watch the replay. So Taurus is represented by the bull, the sign of, the glyph or the image of the bull, the Taurus for Taurus. And this is happening, the Taurus full moon, 2 weeks after the new moon in Libra. So the start of the lunar cycle is the new moon, and then it goes to the full moon approximately 2 weeks later, which is where we are. And then it works its way back down to the next new moon. So with this Taurus energy, this is a good time, or it can be a good time to really tap into the energy of, what did I write here? I'm reading my own notes kind of on the go here. Tap into the energy of the grounding energy of Taurus, which is very beneficial, especially during these times that feel chaotic and overwhelming. Tapping into that earth and grounding energy practices to help you navigate these challenging moments or times or seasons in life. And if the feeling of overwhelm or the feeling of anxiety is something that is strong or that you're noticing more of, this is an invitation to slow down. Actually take things slower, sit with yourself and identify and let yourself experience whatever it is that's coming up. And I'm talking a lot about feelings because, like I said earlier, that is what the moon is associated with. Our emotions, how we respond, how we react to things, especially when we feel backed into a corner or when we feel called out or when something happens and triggers our, a reaction that we don't necessarily like the way it feels to react that way. Or maybe even old ways of reacting that we know are not helpful, but they're so normal for us. They are how we have always reacted or have reacted for long periods of time. And so this full moon time is a time to say, okay, this is how I typically react when I feel stressed or anxious, or this is how I react when, a certain person always like baits me or says a certain thing. And being or becoming aware of, okay, this is how I have always done it or how I've done it for a long time. How would I like to feel instead? How would I like to feel when challenging things happen? Do I want to feel calm? Do I want to feel centered, grounded, going with the flow? Whatever that is. And what steps then can I take to release that old way, the default way? That's a better word. The default way of responding or reacting, letting go of that to create space to respond in a healthy way, to take a pause, to learn how to take a pause before reacting or responding. And it's something that does not happen overnight. I think a lot of us get frustrated, at least I know I have, when I become aware of these things. Right? I become aware of the words that I've been using, or I become aware of habits that have not been helpful, that are not moving me really in the direction that I want. And so becoming aware of them is great. And then I kind of go through this process, it seems like, where I'm aware of the habit. And then when it happens, I'm like, oh, I see myself. I see myself reacting in the same way, or I see myself not taking action when the opportunity is there, or not raising my hand to, speak up or whatever. I see myself and I'm aware that I'm not doing it. And then it's like, okay, but then what? So I seem to go myself anyway. It's like I become aware and then I see it happening and then I still beat myself up after the fact. Like, well, why didn't I do the thing that I knew I should do? Why didn't I take that action? I know what the action is. And if that is something that you relate to or that you've also experienced, know that this is, I think, a normal process. This is a common process, I should say. Maybe not normal. It is normal. I'm being very aware of my words lately, and sometimes I don't know which one fits. But it is a common process. It's like, oh, we're so proud of ourselves that we're aware of our habits, and then we see ourselves continuing to participate or continuing to do those habits. And then it's like, well, how many of you can relate with when that happens? You're like, well, maybe it's just not, it's just not in me. It's just not in me to change. It's just not in me to take the actions. And I'm here to tell you that it is. It is within you. You are capable. And it takes practice to learn how to do things differently. And I say this almost every live, I think, is like, that is one of the most beautiful things. The most amazing things about working with the lunar cycle is that the lunar cycle repeats over and over and over, very predictably. And we can continue to practice, to let go, to take action, to rewrite new stories, to imagine a new way of being and start practicing being that person who does take the action that you've known you needed to take, and identifying the stories and the resistance that are in the way. So if you guys have examples, and again, whether you're watching live or on the replay, if you have examples or these are things that you can relate to and you're looking for, I don't know, some feedback, or you have questions like, well, this is what I noticed myself doing. What is the next step? And I don't know that I'll have the next step for you, but I can definitely reflect that, have you tried this? Because without having an in-person conversation, it's harder, but I want to invite the conversation and see in what way, depending on where you're at, that maybe we can identify a step to take or reframe a thought. So if you have certain limiting beliefs, limiting ideas, like those negative Nancy thoughts that you are well aware of, feel free to share them in the comments if you're looking for some, maybe some feedback as to ways of rewriting them, ways of looking at things differently that you might just not be aware of, because again, it happens to all of us. We're so close to our own circumstances that it's harder to take that step back and see the bigger picture. It is possible. And I always invite, myself and everyone else to take that step back. But also, oftentimes, it's much easier for someone else to look at it from a bigger scope, because we're not so close and involved with the situation. So let's see if you guys have any specific full moon or Taurus questions. Also feel free to let me know. I am going to end in a little, when this ends in a few minutes or a little while, with a very basic full moon exercise, practice, ritual, however you look at it, that you can do. Even if you've already done some full moon work yesterday or today, we're in full moon energy for a few days. I'm going to give you an exercise that you guys can try. So Taurus, the sign of Taurus, has to do with our comforts, like creature comforts, like our cozies and what we feel, what we like to surround our space with, physical things like, the cozy blankets and the comfy clothes and the, what is that word I'm thinking of? The, like indulgences, like these little personal indulgences that we like. And so this Taurus full moon has this focus on our finances, our comforts, our stability. These are all tangible things, like the money we earn, the money we have available to us to do the things that we like, right? So how some things, let's see if I can create this thought so that it makes sense. Some things to take a look at and ask yourself about, or just check in on with this Taurus full moon, or, next year's Taurus full moon. It's a great check-in point. How do you talk to yourself about your finances, your money, your security, the things that you like to do or want to do? How do you talk to yourself about these things? And what is your mindset around them? Right? So are you someone who maybe catches yourself, or you're aware of saying, oh, I'd really like to do that, but I'll never be able to? Or, you see people doing and participating in things that you'd like to, and you're not in a place to maybe spend that much money, or you're not in a place to have the disposable income to do those things. And a lot of times, and I'm speaking from my personal experience here as well, so definitely no judgment. It's just something I became aware of. Maybe I've caught myself falling into this pattern like, well, I'm just not good with money. Or it's just, they have things easier, or they have help, or they're not having to do things all by themselves, so it's easier for them. or they just had a, an easier upbringing, or so many stories. And I have actually experienced where I have, gotten to a level where I was able to do certain things. Like, oh, I have this, but I hadn't really completely worked on that belief that, oh, I'm not good with money. And so then I kind of went back down the the scale, right? Never to the point where I was like, oh, in serious trouble, but it's like, oh, and that comes from that underlying belief, like that, oh, I'm not good at managing money, or it's just not that easy for me to be able to do those things. So because that was the underlying belief, that is what will always hold true. I reached a certain level, but did not stay there, or the how did I say this? One that came up is like, I reach a level, but then I worry I can't maintain it. Well, guess what? That's exactly what played out. What it played out before. And now it's like, I was so worried about not being able to maintain it, or not making good choices, because like, well, what if I can't do this in the future? That's what actually played out. You may have heard the terms, self-fulfilling prophecy, because you're so focused on the thing that you don't want, that's what's actually happening. So at this full moon, this is a great time to identify how you talk to yourself about your creature comforts and the things that you like to do. What stories do you catch yourself saying? Like, oh, that's just not for me. I'll never be able to do that. Or must be nice that they're able to go on vacations and this and that. All those stories come from your belief about yourself and about your ability to either achieve and or sustain and maintain the ability to do that. And the discomfort comes in knowing, like, well, in order for me to be able to do that, I'm going to have to do something different, or do things differently than I'm doing them now. And a lot of times that feels hard, and we don't necessarily run to and like to do hard things. And so it's easier because it's comfortable. So here's another spin on comfortable, right? Our creature comforts are the things that we like, but also with this Taurus energy, or this Taurus full moon, you might take a look at and examine what things in your life are you comfortable with that you don't really want, that's not the circumstance you want to be in, but it's familiar and it's comfortable. So how far is the space? How far is the gap from what you're comfortable in, because it's the story you're living, even though it's not the one you want, from this comfortable. I'm comfortable because I know what to expect, and I want to be comfortable enough to live this, or I want to be comfortable enough to experience a higher level of my creature comforts, or to have more fun and to have more tangible things in my life, right? Like the money to be able to do those fun things. How big is that gap? And identifying how big that gap is really a lot of times a space where we're like, oh, well, it's too far away. It feels too far away. And I'm here to invite you to say, but what's one thing? What's one story you can rewrite? What is one action you can start to take that will move you in that direction? Looking at the baby steps. And so I would invite you to just explore the two kind of different perspectives of comfort at this Taurus full moon. It's like, okay, I'm in a situation, and see if I can kind of like get myself back to the thinking that I had, or like, once it's like, I'm in the situation, I, would like to be able to take vacations. I would like to be able to do the fun, frivolous things. But I'm okay. I'm fine here. I can do things every now and then, or um, I can do things on a smaller scale because I've already achieved this level. And I'm comfortable because it's familiar. So I'm like, yeah, I know that I'm not really great with money. The story that I was telling myself back then, right? So, well, I just might as well accept it and make the best of it while I'm here. And there is some truth in that. Accepting where we are is key. It's like, okay, I'm in a space that I can't do all the fun things I want to. And that's simply an acknowledgement. So there's also a difference between accepting, like, okay, this is just my life, and acknowledging, this is where I am, but I don't have to stay here. And also acknowledging that to experience the higher level of creature comforts or the higher level of fun or the higher level of financial stability that I have right now, I'm going to have to do things differently. And acknowledging and accepting that it's not going to always be easy and it's not going to always be fun. So all these three words, or a few words that I've used: comfort, comfortable, accepting, and acknowledging, all have duality. They all can work for us or against us. They can help move us forward, or they can help us, keep us where we are. So what is your relationship with any of these words? Comfortable, acknowledging, and accepting. Because I was definitely in a place many years ago. How long has it been? 10, 11 years now? About 10-ish, 11-ish years ago, where I was in a mindset that I've made my choices. So now I've made my bed. Now I have to lie in it. Like, I've made my choices and now this is the consequences. And I just have to make the best of it. But they were not at all what I wanted. Wasn't the relationship I wanted to be in. I wasn't living where I wanted to live, geographically. I couldn't do things that I wanted. It's like, well, I've made my bed. Now I have to lie in it. And a friend of mine said to me many years later, when I was telling this story, what I needed was really just a new bed, not to accept where I was. And I did get there, but I just thought that was brilliant. When she told me that, because it's like, oh, yeah, we can change anything. We can change circumstances. We can change our bedding. We can change the bed that we've made, whatever it is. Get a new bed, new perspective, new mindset. But it all takes acknowledging where we are, where we're starting, what our circumstances are right now. And also acknowledging that, yes, we might be comfortable because it's familiar. And to get to the things that we want, it's going to be and feel uncomfortable. And we'll have to do things that are not normal for us, or that are not our normal way of doing things. Establish new habits, different habits, replace the habits. So how do you talk to yourself about your finances and your money mindset? Where are you with that? Are you focused on what you have or what you don't have? And I have been lately been doing work of being very aware of the words that I use and finding words that resonate with me. And so, are you focused on lack or on plenty? And for myself, lack is a word that I understand. Like, it makes sense. Like, yes, I have a lack mentality, or had a lack mentality. I'm still working on it, but I'm very much taking action towards that. Versus the word abundant is one that is used very commonly. Develop an abundant mindset. Have an abundant mindset. And I know what that word means. And I know, and I've even talked on lives and, to people, like, abundance comes in different ways. There's financial abundance, time freedom, abundance, all these things, an abundance of friendships. And I used the word because it was a common word. But what I realized is it didn't really resonate with me, with my person and how I talk and the meanings and feelings that I have with certain words. And I have now started replacing the word abundant with plenty. Like I have plenty of time to do the things I have. Like if I tried to say the affirmation, I have an abundance of time, or I am abundant in time and money, I know what it meant, but it didn't resonate within me. But when I realized that plenty is a word that I use and that I can, like, it makes sense to me. I have plenty of time. I have plenty of time to go do that. And start saying to myself, I have plenty of resources to get me to where I want to be. I have plenty of money, to cover my necessities. And I can also have plenty of money to do the things that I like. And I'm more and more able to do that because that resonates with me. So part of what I like to do with you guys is to invite you to find the words that work for you. I have been finding and fine tuning and starting to use more words that resonate with me, but that doesn't mean you have to use them. They work for me. And if they also work for you, that's great. So I keep going on these little side tangents when I come across these. So let me go through these questions, see if I can get through them. Let's see. Are you focused on lack or plenty? And if you find yourself focused on the lack or what you don't have, can you release or focus on releasing outdated ideas or stories about your finances, what you don't feel you have plenty of? And it's interesting because the story might not necessarily be what you're thinking. So like if you're thinking, okay, Patty's talking about finances and resources, and do I have a lack mentality? Like I don't have enough money. I don't have enough time. I don't have enough, opportunities to do things that I like. When you start to do the work, I actually realized that one of the things keeping me that was in my way, one of the stories was that it would take a long time. It has to take a long time to raise my income level. It takes a long time to earn large amounts of money or larger amounts of money. It takes a long time to reach that next level. That was a story I identified for myself. And when I realized that, it's like, well, if that was my story, it takes a long time to earn this. That's what I was living out. I wasn't taking steps that moved me faster. I was taking the long way around. I was taking maybe looking for opportunity or using strategies or taking steps that actually took longer. Whereas when I became aware of that and changed the way I thought about that. It's like, oh, it can be easy. It doesn't have to take a long time. This can happen quickly or quicker than I was thinking. I started to take actions differently. I attracted the resources or the information to help me take those actions quicker and reach goals and change my circumstances quicker. And that leads into my next point, which will seem like a contradiction, because I said that was my story. Oh, it doesn't have to take, it takes a long time, or it's going to take a long time. And reframing that too, it doesn't have to take a long time. And now I'm going to move into, there's also no need to rush, because there's a difference from allowing things to happen quicker by not standing in the way, and also trying to rush things and trying to rush the process, which actually has the reverse effect of having it take longer because we have this urgency attached to it. So a lot of duality in the words and the ways that I'm looking at, that I'm pointing things out. And the last one is not so much a duality, but it's very specific to Taurus. And then I'll wrap up with that. Where are you being stubborn and stuck in your comfort zone, as opposed to taking the actions that move you out of your comfort zone so that you can reach the level or the experiences or the feelings that you desire? So the questions in succession are: how do you talk about your finances and your money mindset? Are you focused on lack or plenty? What outdated ideas or stories about money or security can you release? And where are you being stubborn and stuck in your current comfort zone? And that is it. Now, to leave you, like I said, with a very basic full moon practice exercise ritual is to write out either on 2 separate sheets of paper or to have a sheet of paper and rip it in half. And you can do this so many, include whatever, other, having a candle or burning a piece of paper that you want to release. All those things are ways for you to personalize it. But the practice is to make 2 lists. And the first list is what stories you are aware of or have become aware of that are not helpful to you. Writing down the habits, the stories, the thoughts, the beliefs that are not helping you, that are not moving you forward. And then on a separate sheet of paper, writing down the things that you have plenty of and would like more of, would you like even more of in the future, or to have more of it. Amplify the things that you do have and that you have received and the successes that you have accomplished. So have them on 2 separate sheets of paper. And then with the list of the things that are not helpful, this is where you can burn that sheet of paper. You can shred it up and bury it if you're in, with this energetics of having it be released and transmuted into something more positive or something helpful. Burning it sends it out into the universe, and also burying it decomposes it, right? Breaks it down, makes it part of the earth or the dirt, soil, and then it can be transformed into something that's beneficial. And you can do that, whether you have a yard or not. You can do that in, shred it up in pieces of paper or in a shredder if you have one, or cut it up and rip it up in small pieces and bury it in a potted plant. It will decompose there just as well as it will in the earth. So write those 2 lists, release or let go in whatever fashion feels good for you, the things that are not helpful. And then with the list of things that you want to call in more of and amplify, keep that on, I don't know, in a drawer. If you have like something that you use for the lunar cycle, like a grid or an altar or some kind of a space where you will see it every day, maybe with your cards that you pull every day, and practice gratitude for the things that you've got that you wrote on the list and having more of that. Practice gratitude in advance for amplifying that or calling more of that in, and how good it feels to have what you have and how good it will feel to have even more of that, or the things that you desire that, you want to call in that you don't have yet. So it's very basic, and I'm not adding all the extras. You can burn the list of the things you're releasing. You can bury it, shred it, like I said, but you can personalize this and make this as simple or as involved and include all sorts of other things that you like. That is for you. to practice with and see what works and what resonates. And if you do have questions, feel free to ask them. But my focus is here isn't to help you with have the two separate lists, write down the stories, the beliefs, the habits that are not helping, and let those go. Release those in whatever fashion feels right for you, so that you then energetically create space to amplify the things on your list that you're celebrating and that you're grateful for having and that you want more of. That's how you create this energetic space, and then fill it with gratitude and positivity right away instead of waiting for something good. You're always filling that space of the things that you release with something that's helpful and worth celebrating and fun. Anything that is on the feel good side of our emotions. So that is the full moon chat for this time. It is late. Like I said, I had some unexpected life things happen. Family member was in the hospital and stuff. So it was going to happen on Friday, but we're getting to it today, and we're still in full moon energy. And there is nothing that you can't do. The full moon was yesterday, so you're not out, you didn't miss it. And if you're watching this later on the replay, again, let me know, ask questions, participate in the comments, and I will come back around and answer or provide feedback. And let's see, anything else? Any other housekeeping? I don't have my standard notes in front of me, but I'll just use this bit of time to let you guys ask questions if you have any. Those that jumped on live, thank you for doing so. And see, I'm looking. Oh, it's because my notes are on the wrong day. They're on the day it was going to happen on Friday. If you haven't participated, that's what I want to chat about. During the month of October, hi Nilda, good to see you. Thank you. Hello yourself, beautiful. In the month of October, here in the Moon Manifesting Rockstars Facebook group, I have been sharing a post every day for a scripting challenge, scripting activity, journaling activity, and I also released my Manifesting Me digital journal at the beginning of the month. And for the pre-release people, the people that were on my email list beforehand, I picked a winner from those who purchased the digital journal on the early release, but also until October 31st, until this challenge ends, I also will be picking a winner from everyone who purchases the digital journal by October 31st at 11:59 p.m. Pacific, because I am on the West Coast out here. And as I'm talking, I'm looking for the link for those of you who would like it. So everyone who purchased the journal or purchases the journal in the month of October, from October 1st through October 31st, is entered to win a second Manifesting Blend roller. I have one left. I gave one away for the early release, and there we go. And the journal is digital, so that just simply means that it's like an ebook. You are able to print it, download it, or you can just use the prompts to write in your own journal, and you can use it over and over and over. Whether you print it or use the prompts. The prompts, since the digital journal is called Manifesting Me, are prompts designed to help you script into being the future version of you, like how you show up in the world, how you think, who you're with, what you're doing. And when I say you can use this over and over, as you continually up level, you can work through these prompts to script that version of you into being and get clear on what you want to be experiencing, how you want to be feeling. And the journal itself is $7. So it is a steal because you can use it over and over for an investment of $7. And I'm looking for the right spot. There we go. All right. And for those of you who are watching on YouTube, I am going to put that in the comments here first. Hello, hola, ¿cómo está? ¿Cómo estás? Sorry, I was thinking formal Spanish. Let's see. Get the digital. So this that I'm typing in, you won't see in Facebook. You'll see it on YouTube. And then I will come into Facebook and add that because StreamYard does not let me add it. Refresh. And there we go. How are you, Gabby? I didn't say your name when I said hi to you earlier. Nilda and Gabby, so good to see you guys. Here we go. Get the manifesting. There we go. Now everyone should be able to see that both on Facebook and YouTube. Awesome. So that's all I have. I will just say I hope you guys, Nilda and Gabby, I know you guys are in colder weather, so I hope you are having an enjoyable fall, that it's not too cold yet. It's never really fully winter here in California, but we're still on the fairly warm side, 70s, 80s. So I hope you guys are having a beautiful fall season and excellent. And if you guys who are watching on the replay, let me know where you are, like I invited earlier, and what your weather, what your fall is looking like. So I think that's good. I'm all good. I'm so glad to hear that, Gabby. I'm so glad. Okay. And otherwise, thank you guys for being patient with me. For having to reschedule this, and I know some of you might be catching this on the replay that we're planning on joining live on Friday, and look for several things that got delayed this week. My next podcast episode I will be putting up tomorrow instead of on Thursday, and that's just how life rolls. Done is better than perfect, and late is still okay when things happen. When things happen and you just need to get back to stuff. So you're so welcome. Thank you guys. I love chatting with you, and I will talk to you soon. Check out the journal and let me know what your favorite prompt is from the 8 that I selected for you guys. So have a good one and take care, guys.